Breaking news out of the Middle East, with Hamas saying it's ready to release the last living American hostage. Tonight, White House officials confirming Idan Alexander could be freed as soon as tomorrow. We're following late developments and what this could mean for the future of the war in Gaza. New outages triggering travel headaches at two of the biggest airports in the country. Ground stops at Newark and Atlanta. The ripple effect nationwide. And the dramatic warning from the Transportation Secretary tonight. Questions now about a possible trade deal between the U.S. and China. The White House hinting at a big announcement that might help your budget's bottom line. And the controversial gift the White House appears ready to accept from the Qatari royal family, a luxury plane to be the new Air Force One. Ukraine accepting Russia's offer for direct talks to try to end the war. So does this mean peace could be in sight? And we're at the Vatican as Pope Leo delivers a special Mother's Day message at St. Peter's.
John, what's it like to look out there and see your brother?
Unreal. You know, a tremendous sense of pride.
And Lester Holt's interview with the new Pope's brother. Shop class making a comeback. Why more students are signing up for a more hands-on experience.
Welcome to the Delilah Show.
And the radio voice we all know by just one name, Delilah.
We need a lot of hope. We need a lot of faith. We need a lot of joy. And so I love to share that at night.
The mother on a mission to spread comfort to millions.
This is NBC Nightly News with Hallie Jackson.
We are coming on the air with the last living American hostage believed to be held in Gaza, set to be released as soon as tomorrow. Idan Alexander has been in captivity for 583 days. It's not clear what condition he's in, but Hamas says the dual U.S.-Israeli citizen will be freed as part of the steps toward a ceasefire and the flow of more humanitarian help into Gaza. A top U.S. official telling NBC News he's preparing to head to the region to bring Alexander home. The news coming at a critical moment, with Israel planning to ramp up its attacks in Gaza. Months of protests in Tel Aviv demanding the return of the hostages, and President Trump set to depart for the region in just hours. Our Hala Garani is in Tel Aviv and starts us off.
The last American hostage in Hamas custody about to be released. 21-year-old Idan Alexander, raised in New Jersey and who'd volunteered to join the Israeli military, held captive for 583 days, possibly hours away from being reunited with loved ones. His family tonight saying they're in ongoing contact with the U.S. administration. President Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, expected to travel to Israel tomorrow, confirming to NBC News that Alexander is set to be freed. Hamas issuing a statement. The release of Israeli soldier Idan Alexander will be part of the steps being taken to achieve a ceasefire and allow aid to reach our people. Idan Alexander was last seen in a Hamas video in April and one in November addressing President Trump directly, one of several proof-of-life videos released since October 7th.
Dear President Trump, my name is Idan Alexander.
His mother, Yael, has spoken several times to NBC News.
We love him and just be strong, survive, and you're coming back home soon.
Tonight's announcement did not mention the Israeli government's involvement, the U.S. negotiating with Hamas through mediators, seemingly bypassing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The families of other captives now waiting for news their loved ones could be released too, while many people in the region will be hoping this deal could lead to a lasting truce.
Hala Garani joins us now from Tel Aviv. Hala, let's talk timeline here. How soon might Alexander be freed?
Well, U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff says this could happen as soon as Monday, and therefore it could coincide with President Trump's tour of Gulf Arab countries. He departs for that trip tomorrow, Hallie.
Hala Garani in Tel Aviv, thank you. Back here at home, new ground stops triggering big delays and big headaches for travelers, including yet again at the beleaguered Newark airport. And while the transportation secretary tells NBC News he believes it's safe, he's also sounding the alarm about the aging systems in U.S. airspace. Here's Maya Eaglin.
At Newark International, concern and confusion.
I should have just gotten rid of my ticket and picked another airport.
After an equipment outage resulted in a 45-minute ground stop at one of the nation's busiest airports. Issued at 8:15 a.m. local time after a source tells NBC News an audio issue caused a popping sound on a few radio frequencies between pilots and air traffic controllers. The telecommunications issue led the FAA to use their backup system. The impact fell throughout the day, with over 300 flights delayed or canceled. It's the third outage after weeks of travel chaos. Transportation Secretary Duffy on NBC News' Meet the Press.
I'm concerned about the whole airspace, right? The equipment that we use, much of it we can't buy parts for new. We have to go on eBay and buy parts if one part goes down. You're dealing with really old equipment.
Today's outage comes after radar screens briefly went black at Newark's TRACON on Friday in Philadelphia. But on top of the technical failures, Newark has been dealing with runway construction and bad weather. United CEO says passengers do not need to be worried.
It absolutely is safe at Newark and in the entire country. And the reason is, when these kind of outages happen, we train for them. We have backup procedures.
At Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport today, a ground stop also issued after the FAA says there were runway equipment issues. NBC News' Priya Sridhar is there.
Here in Atlanta, that ground stop turned into a 3-hour ground delay, resulting in almost 600 flights getting delayed.
Some senators calling for action.
The FAA must put Newark first and must put everything they've got into fixing Newark ASAP. This situation cannot last.
Maya Eaglin is joining us now from Newark. And Maya, it sounds like it'll take some time before it gets any easier to fly into and out of that airport.
Yeah, Hallie, tonight there's still a significant amount of delays here at Newark. As Secretary Duffy says, he's working on a plan to reduce the amount of flights coming in and out of this busy airport over the next several weeks. Hallie?
Maya Eaglin at Newark for us tonight. Thank you. On Wall Street, market futures are spiking up tonight. That's as the White House hints as a possible trade deal with China, although the details still need to be filled in. So what could this mean for the trade war and for your wallet? Yamiche Alcindor has the latest.
Tonight, the Trump administration teasing a new trade deal with China without providing details. American and global consumers bracing for what's next, as tariffs could send the prices of everything from food to toys to construction materials skyrocketing. After 2 days of negotiations in Switzerland with top Chinese officials, Trade Representative Jamieson Greer saying this.
We're confident that the deal we struck with our Chinese partners will help us to work toward resolving that national emergency.
And Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent signaling more information will come soon.
I spoke to President Trump, and he is fully informed of what is going on. So there will be a complete briefing tomorrow morning.
Chinese officials saying the announcement will be big news for the world.
Trade wars produce no winners.
News of a potential deal was welcomed by some, including Joe Shammy, the president of Delta Children, one of the nation's largest children furniture brands. How are you feeling that a trade deal might potentially have been reached?
I am so excited. This is great for America. For now, we've been holding price, and we've been hopeful that this day would come faster.
Meanwhile, in Washington, 4 sources telling NBC News that President Trump is preparing to accept a super luxury jumbo jet from Qatar to use as the new Air Force One. The sources say the plane would be transferred to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation once he ends his second term. Critics blasting the plan, with top Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer calling it bribery. A Qatari spokesperson says this is still under review.
Yamiche Alcindor is joining us now from the North Lawn. So, Yamiche, what is the White House saying tonight about this plane plan?
A White House official tells NBC News the plane will not be presented nor accepted this week while President Trump is in Qatar. The White House press secretary also saying that any gift accepted will be in full compliance of the law. Hallie.
Yamiche Alcindor, thank you. Also tonight, Ukraine is now accepting an incredibly rare offer from Russia, one we haven't seen in years, a face-to-face sit-down between President Putin and President Zelensky, with the world watching and hoping for a possible ceasefire. Keir Simmons is in Moscow tonight.
Tonight, President Zelensky proposing a face-off with President Putin, saying in a video statement he will wait for the Russian leader personally for talks in Turkey on Thursday. It's his response to a dramatic late-night television address from the Kremlin. Putin saying Russia is ready for the first direct talks with Ukraine in 3 years. NBC News, among a small number of international news organizations inside the Kremlin, has Putin read from his handwritten notes, refusing to agree to a sustained ceasefire, but saying a truce is possible if talks are successful.
It's a proposal to have talks before there's a lasting ceasefire.
To find a way for a ceasefire.
Hours earlier, Zelensky had met with European leaders in Kyiv. This morning, Ukraine and French President Macron insisting on a pause in the fighting before negotiations. But then President Trump on social media writing Ukraine should agree to this immediately. At least they will be able to determine whether or not a deal is possible. Have the meeting now. If there are talks, the two sides will begin far apart. Russia and Ukraine targeting each other again overnight. Kherson in Ukraine hit by shelling, and Kursk in Russia struck, according to local officials. The last talks in Turkey in 2022 collapsed without agreement. President Putin says negotiations should start exactly where they left off. That would include a demand that Ukraine disarm, a no-go for Kyiv after years of war.
Keir Simmons is in Moscow for us tonight. And Keir, President Trump is a factor in all of these talks as well, right?
Oh, no question, Hallie. One aspect of all this, Russia and Ukraine are trying to stay on the right side of President Trump and not be blamed if talks fail. It's a high-wire act, Hallie.
Keir Simmons in Moscow, thank you. At the Vatican, Pope Leo XIV is calling for peace in Ukraine and in Gaza in his first Sunday blessing. Lester Holt watched alongside the new Pope's brother and is following it all tonight.
In a week of firsts at the Vatican, Pope Leo appearing above a jubilant crowd for his first Sunday address, delivering a prayer and blessing before an estimated 100,000 people.
I had to come because this is the first American Pope.
This American flying in from Chicago overnight to be here.
What does this time mean for Catholics right now?
I think it's a time of hope. I really believe it's so historic to have the first American Pope. He's going to be a bridge.
L'invito ad accogliere e accompagnare I giovani.
In Italian, the Pope speaking of young people, telling them they can find a home in the church, not to fear, he said, and expressing the hope that Ukrainians can find a true and lasting peace, telling world leaders no more war.
Mai più la guerra.
And calling for a ceasefire in Gaza and for the release of hostages. Watching the Pope's appearance with us from a nearby rooftop, Pope Leo's brother John, who arrived yesterday from Chicago. John, what's it like to look out there and see your brother?
Unreal. You know, a tremendous sense of pride.
Was he made for this moment?
You know, after being here, yeah, absolutely. It seems like he fits right in. It seems like he's been doing this for a long time because he's not nervous. He has all the confidence in the world. So, yeah, it does seem like he was made for this moment. No question in his mind with what do I need to do? He knows what he's going to do. He knows what he's going to say.
Yesterday, traveling by car outside of Rome with Pope Leo, John Prevost got a deeper look inside his brother's new world.
Both sides of the road were packed with people screaming, "Papa, Papa, Papa." And he rolled down his window and would shake hands as the car would drive by. And the people were just in tears as they shook hands with him.
Over these past few weeks, there have been many moments that have brought people flooding into St. Peter's Square. But for many we've spoken to, today may feel the most personal. Janet traveled from St. Louis for the Pope's blessings, bringing remembrances from her late mother.
Do you expect to have something blessed?
Oh, yes. I have my mom's rosary, my mom's cross, crucifix. I can't even describe what it's like to be here on Mother's Day and my mom's things and remembering 30 years ago when we were here together for the first time.
In his remarks today, the Pope noted that Mother's Day was being celebrated in many places, and he offered his own wishes and prayers to moms, including those, he says, who are in heaven. Hallie?
Lester, thank you very much. Good to see you. A deadly bus crash near Los Angeles has killed at least one person and hurt more than 30 others after that tour bus collided with an SUV, which then burst into flames on the freeway. The driver of that car died while trapped inside. Officials say dozens of people on the bus were hurt, but most are expected to be okay. And Rory McIlroy is back in action tonight in his first tournament since his historic Masters win, securing a career Grand Slam. McIlroy ended the Truist Championship in Philadelphia in 7th place tonight. We're back in a moment with the return of an old school classic, students drilling, welding, and building their way to the future. Back now with the 4 ducklings rescued from a sewer drain in Northern California. Firefighters jumping into action. Look at this. After the mother duck quacked for somebody to help, Mama ended up reunited with her babies just in time for Mother's Day. It is a classroom classic making its way into more schools these days. A shop class renaissance, as students say they want to learn more about the trades. Aaron McLaughlin has a closer look at what's behind it.
There you go.
Tonight at Phelps High School in D.C.,
Make sure you hold it with 2 hands.
students are drilling,
Go slow,
sawing, and wiring their way to a brighter future.
I love pushing myself.
and then press a drill through here.
Classes that years ago were pushed to the side in favor of coursework prioritizing test scores in STEM, now seen as a huge opportunity.
Do you want to be an electrician?
Of course. Once I graduate, I want to kind of break off and have my own business.
Just move your straight edge.
At Phelps, they're making that dream a reality. Students learn critical trade skills hands-on, building sheds for the community, testing HVAC systems, even architecture.
Is interest growing?
Yes, it is. In a trade vocational class, you are paid to learn. On top of that, they're learning that skill versus paying a tuition to college. That's $60,000. When you tighten your screw.
Andre Green teaches electrical engineering.
You've been doing this for 8 years.
Yes.
What's happened to your students?
They're happy. I'll get that phone call from them saying basically like, I'm making some money.
Here in Washington, D.C., the number of students who've enrolled in this type of program has nearly doubled in the last decade. Public school system has invested millions this year alone.
And similar programs are popping up in districts nationwide. According to one survey, 66% of all high schools now offer career education, and it's being driven by economic demand.
So I have construction companies and I have other employers coming to me wanting students right out of high school to be career ready.
It's potentially transformative for these kids.
It's amazing. I mean, you're talking about breaking generational poverty.
For these kids, shop class no longer carries the stigma of generations past.
I feel if other youth got the chance to do this, they would love it because you're just so free and you get to learn.
Aaron McLaughlin, NBC News, Washington.
When we come back, there is good news tonight about radio host Delilah. Her life filled with love and a mission to spread it on this Mother's Day. There is good news tonight about the mother of talk radio and her lifelong goal to spread love and hope across generations.
Delilah. Good evening and welcome, my friend. Welcome.
For decades, she's been a soothing voice on the airways.
If you have a story to share, call me and I'm going to find the perfect song to go with your situation.
Her radio show has millions of dedicated listeners tuning in every week.
Tonight, we're going to talk about developing an attitude of gratitude.
Yes, that's Delilah, providing inspiration and hope to callers.
I try to pour a lot of hope out. I love to share that at night.
A mom to 15 children. Some of her listeners even consider her another mother. People have talked about how they call you Mother Delilah. You know,
Mama D.
How do you think about that?
That's the highest compliment I can be paid. That is right up there with, sainthood to me, being somebody's mama.
Did you always know you wanted to be a mom?
I always wanted to be a mom. I was a mom to baby chicks and ducks and dogs and cats growing up on a farm, but I always wanted a big family. It's what I've been called to do and what I love doing most.
How will you celebrate this Mother's Day?
I will no doubt get burnt toast, eggs that the yolk's a little harder than I would like, but my kids love to fix me breakfast on Mother's Day. It's usually phone calls, text messages, and a whole lot of love.
What are you grateful for?
Her messages resonating with listeners of all ages.
It's late. Did you just join us?
Delilah recently finding new fame on TikTok, with fans reminiscing about how she comforted them growing up.
We're here to talk to you, to listen to you.
It's like I opened up this portal to a whole new world. And all these people that are like, oh my gosh, my mom listened to you, my grandma listens to you.
And her message this Mother's Day?
Relationships with moms can be very complicated. And if that relationship was not healthy and not nurturing, you will carry the wounds of that until you heal. And once your heart is healed, you'll be so much stronger and able to do amazing things in this life.
A life filled with love and a mission to help others love themselves, too.
You have great words. You were created for a purpose. And that's what my show is all about.
That's Nightly News for this Sunday. I'm Hallie Jackson. For all of us here at NBC, thanks for watching and have a great week.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.